Welcome back to the channel today, guys. And I've been stressing myself out the past couple weeks, guys. Thinking to myself, I gotta catch up to Spy Classroom. It's been annoying me and gnawing away at me, ripping my hair out, thinking I'm behind. But you know what I found out today that made me feel really stupid? The show's on hiatus. It's on a freaking hiatus, man! I didn't know that, and I felt so stupid. So we're actually going to catch up today to the latest episode, technically. So be excited for that. Now, today's episode is going to be focused on Sara, actually. And it was a very different episode than I was expecting it to be, honestly. But I still think it'll be a pretty fun one. So without further ado, let's get into it and talk about Spy Classroom Episode 7 today. Now, I know I literally just said that the episode is a happy one, but our episode begins on a little teeny bit of a sad note, as we see Sara and her parents looking distraught as we hear, I had a pretty simple reason for joining my spy academy. My parents' restaurant got destroyed, so I needed to start gaining my own way. Other people had much nobler reasons than me, so it's no wonder I washed out. As we see that when it comes to the technical standpoint of being a spy, Sara's not very good. As one of her instructors even has the nerve to tell her, you need to recognize your place. And this is soul-crushing for Sara, obviously. What a terrible institution, by the way, to say that to a student. Actually awful. But it's here we're going to transition back to the present. Or should I say, not the present, because when we go to the girls' strategy meeting to take out Klaus, we see that we're still in the impossible mission time, the pre-time before that. Like, good lord, is this whole show going to take place before that mission? It certainly feels that way. As we just hear, what if we quit pulling our punches and just blow Klaus's whole room up? Take him out in one fell swoop. As Monica says, good idea. We could tell him we made him dinner so we could lure him out into the dining room. Then we could use that opening to plant a bomb under his bed. Genius. As we see that Sara wants to chime in, but she stops herself. As Greta adds, to be honest, I find it hard to imagine that being enough to take the boss down. This man's explosion proof. As Monica says, maybe, but it'll give us some valuable intel either way. We'll see what makes that man tick. But it's here we see Thea tell them, wait a minute, as she mentions something that, honestly, I didn't even think about until she says something. As she says, there's something nobody's mentioning, so I guess I gotta say it myself, huh? As she says, we may need to start worrying about the manor's structural integrity, as we see both doors next to them just fall down. As she tells them, ever since we got here, we've been attacking Teach daily to try to make him surrender. Destruction and explosions have become an everyday occurrence for us. And it's getting to the point where the damage to the manor is getting too severe to overlook. Basically, they're really messing this house up. As she adds, to illustrate how bad it's gotten, one of us literally got crushed last night. Apparently, one of the doors fell over the same way it did just now. As Erna's like, that really hurt. Like, poor Erna, man. It's starting to interfere with our day-to-day activities as well. As she tells them, I say we start taking turns repairing the manor the same way we handle the cleaning. And it's here Monica just flat out says, yeah, I'm opposed to that idea. As she tells them all, we're about to head out on a death-defying mission, remember? As Thea tells her that's still no reason to throw everything to the wayside. Like, we can't live like slobs. As Monica says, right now, we need to devote every spare second we have to our training. As Thea says, you just don't want to do more chores. True! As Monica says, you can believe what you want, but anyway, the place gets fixed up on its own sometimes anyway. Klaus probably calls in specialist contractors. But it's here as we transition to the shed where the animals are kept, we just hear Erna say, Monica was talking some nonsense in there. The manor definitely gets repaired sometimes, but I've never seen a contractor around. It's the work of a ghost. I'm sure of it. As Sara tells her, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But Erna insists, saying, I saw it with my own 2 eyeball sockets. As she says, last night, when I was walking down the hallway, all spookily like. As we see a ghost walking down the hallway, which I'm all but certain is Klaus. Let's keep it a buck. As we see, that's how the door fell on her, as she says, then I met a terrible fate. As Sara tells her, you know, if you're scared of the ghosts, you can come into the stable. As Erna tells her, your animals are scary too, though. There's a ghost in the manor, and there are your adorable, fluffy, loving animals in the shed. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here. As Sara tells her, nonsense. My pets wouldn't hurt a fly. As she brings over this clearly ferocious and deadly beast, as she says, you can borrow him to use as a guard dog to protect you from the ghost. As Erna says, are you sure he's not going to bite me here? As Sara says, yes, I taught him that was bad. As the dog bites Erna. The girl of misfortune for a reason, everybody. But it's here as we transition to later that evening. We do get a bit more of a serious scene as we see Sara walking down the hallway, as we see a light strangely on. As she says, who could that be? All the others are asleep because of their training. As she says, is it the burglar? Is it a ghost? And upon looking into the room, it's clearly Klaus. Like, come on, guys. As we see, this man is just in here washing dishes. I can imagine they don't wash the dishes. As Klaus tells her, this is a part of my training. There are times when I need to masquerade as a butler or a chef. But also, I was the lowest in the pecking order on my old team. Doing the chores got to be a habit. As he tells her, people have many sides to them. And I see you're no different. As we see, she's carrying a toolbox, and he says, you're the one who's really been repairing the manor night after night, haven't you? As he says, magnificent. You didn't like the situation, so you decided to work alone to support your teammates. Not many people would have done that, much less chosen to remain anonymous while doing so. That's actually pretty true. If most people did something like this, they'd be bragging up a storm like, I did all this, let me just sit around, I'm so mighty. You know people would. But Klaus adds, however, I'm less pleased with the fact that you're the only one losing sleep over this. If the manor's state is getting in the way of your training, then you really ought to be repairing it as a group. As he tells her, I'll let the others know tomorrow. But Sara tells him, it's alright. You don't have to tell the others what I've been doing. And as he asks her why, she says, I recognize that I'm the weakest member on the team. And it's here she starts explaining why she feels that way, saying, I spent the least amount of time attending a spy academy out of everyone here. But even if we all went for the same amount of time, I probably would have still fallen behind. The point is, I know I'm not a very good spy. The least I can do is help out so the others can get a good night's sleep. This is me recognizing my place. Just like my academy taught me to. As Klaus gets mad and says, what the hell kind of education are they giving you over there? And I agree, what a shitty school to tear down one of your students like that. That's pretty shit. As he tells her, head to bed for the night, Sara. I read you loud and clear, girl. And it's here as we transition to the next day, and we see Lily and Sara gonna go make breakfast for everyone. They see Klaus is already in there doing it, as he tells them, you know, I thought it might be nice for me to treat you all to a meal every now and then. I'm gonna be honest, guys, that food looks good. And it's here, of course, as everyone's eating it, they're like, damn, that was the bomb, Klaus. That hit the spot. As he tells them, you know, as your superior, rewarding you for your efforts is part of my job. As he adds, also, I just so happened to pick up some fresh beef tenderloin at the market this morning. That shit looks good too. As he says, I'm letting it breathe for a bit, but by tonight, it'll be perfect. As everyone's just like, teach, teach, teach. As Klaus says, man, I had no idea you'd all be so pleased. But I have to ask, who said that any of you were getting this meat? Pause, by the way. As they all shut up real quick. As Lily's like, you got anything else you want to say to us, Klaus? And he's like, yeah, Hurry up and get back to your training. You know you are spies after all, believe it or not. As Ada starts chanting, meat, 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 meat. As Klaus says, okay then, what do you say we have a little contest? As he tells them, don't worry, I'm not a monster, ladies. The odds will be overwhelmingly in your favor. And it's here as we transition to Klaus explaining all the rules to them. This man is playing them like a fiddle, man. It's wild. As he says, we'll be competing to see who can mend the door, clean the bath, sweep the hall, replace a window, and wipe the other windows the fastest. There will be 5 rounds, and if you beat me in any of them, the stake is yours, ladies. However, using violence to obstruct the other team is against the rules. And I gotta say, guys, sounds simple, right? But what a smart way to get your house clean, low-key. When I have kids one day, I gotta try that. As Klaus says, the first round will be mending the door. Whichever side returns the door to its original state first is the winner. And it's here Thea says, worry not, guys. With me at the helm, this is gonna be a breeze. It's time for me to show just what I'm made of. And as our first round begins, we just hear, Siblia, go measure the damage section. Monica and Lily, you're in charge of cutting the wood. Sara, prep the varnish and paint we're going to use for the door. And before she can even get the final words out, Klaus is like, oh, I'm done, by the way. I'm already done, by the way. As they're all collectively just like, bruh. As Klaus tells them, it's simple. Once I jammed my knife in, cut the wood with suitable movements, and accurately eyeballed the measurements, all I had to do was be as fast as a winter wind descending a mountain. As they're just like, what the hell are you talking about, Klaus? As we see that round 1 is a loss. Now it's time to transition to round 2, cleaning up the bathroom, as Monica says. We're going to change up the plan a bit for this one. We'll dedicate one person to getting into Klaus's way, and I'll pull out all the stops to make up the difference. As Siblia says, man, you really want that meat, don't you? As she tells her, shut up. And as Sara says, I thought running interference was against the rules. As she says, physical attacks are a no-go. Sure. And then says, Lily, your duty calls. As she says, yup, if you need someone harassed, I'm your gal. I could definitely see that. Lily's definitely annoying enough for that. And as round 2 begins, she immediately starts pestering Klaus. But it's here Klaus says, by the way, Lily, what are you planning on doing after you beat me? As he says, sure, you'll get your hands on some steak, but it's going to be split into 7ths. And only one of them will be yours. But if you join my side, though, you could get the whole steak to yourself. Did that thought ever cross your mind? You're a clever girl. I'm sure you'll make the right call. As we see that Lily's just a bona fide traitor, man. Just a bona fide traitor to be bought out with food. Damn you, Lily. As Monica's like, damn it. How many times are you going to sabotage me, Lily? As Klaus says, oh, I'm done cleaning, by the way. Oh, and Lily, I was clearly lying earlier. And with that, round 2 is a loss. And it's time to transition to round 3 as our girl Erna steps up to the plate saying, I smell misfortune. As we see she's sweeping with Klaus and she uses the power of misfortune to push her dust onto Klaus's side. Genius. As Sarah's just like, wow, that's gonna cost Klaus a lot of time. And it's here Annette says, yo, I got your back, yo. Time to break out my special deluxe cleaning machine, yo. That looks like something else, but we'll not talk about that. As she literally just ends up sucking up Erna's dress, man. Poor Erna. And in the process, her vacuum explodes, making a huge mess as Klaus says, well, I'm done, ladies. Sorry about that. And with that, round 3 is a loss too. Now it's time for round 4, as Monica says, I'll handle this one solo. That'll give me more room to move, so I'll be able to use my full strength. You all can just shut up and watch me. And the second the bell rings, she loses immediately. She can't even put a piece of glass in before Klaus. Come on, man. And with that, round 4 is the saddest loss yet. And now we transition to the final round, which is washing all the windows. As we hear whoever cleans their set of second floor windows first wins the whole thing. And it's here we actually hear Lily make an astute assessment as she says, water's gonna be the bottleneck here, huh? As she says, the quickest way to wash is to making a huge splash all over the window and clean it that way. The problem is, it's gonna take too long to come down for water and get back up to the second floor for the windows. And it's here we see our girl Sara comes up with a interesting idea, to say the least. Because as round 5 begins, she runs in the complete opposite direction. As we see her run into the kitchen and find some containers as she says, I'm codenamed Meadow, and it's time to run circles around them. And as we transition back to the girls, they're struggling against Klaus, who's kind of cheating low-key with what he's using, but all's fair, I guess. As Lily's like, I'll never throw in the towel, damn it, I want that meat. And it's here all of a sudden. We see Sara's idea come to fruition as she's actually using her animals to transport the water in the containers she got up to everyone. Honestly, a little goofy looking, but it works. It definitely works. As she has Mr. Johnny go and collect the containers, bring them back to her as she fills up the water. They got a nice little system going. And it's here we just see Klaus give her a little smile in this situation, you know? He is doing this for her after all. But they still get their ass kicked. As Siblia says, damn, in the end, he swept us 5-0. As Monica says, could've been worse. He cooked us a pity steak at least. As Lily's like, we had to split it 7 ways though. I finished mine in 1 bite. But it's here in this one moment, while they're all gathered, Sara gets her courage and says, you know, would it be alright if I made a suggestion, guys? As she tells them, what do you say to starting up a repairs rotation after all? I think it would be for the best, personally. As Monica again says, no, I don't want to do that. But Sara adds, you know, doing repairs is a form of training too, though. Being a spy isn't only about taking down targets, after all. And it's here we see our girl Erna say, I fully agree, as we see all of the other girls start raising their hands as well. And being utterly eviscerated by her peers, Monica says, fine, I'll do the damn chores. And we see that Sara is very happy by this. And it's here as we transition to the shed later, Klaus says, I'm really happy you were able to broach the topic with them. As Sara says, yeah, it's all thanks to you, Teach. As she adds, are you sure about this though? This is some really fancy meat we're feeding the animals here. As we see Klaus is giving them the steak. But Klaus asks her, why? You and your little ones were today's MVPs. Which is true. As Sara asks him, do you come here often, Teach? The animals seem kind of used to you. As she says, wait, could the ghost that Erna have saw actually have been... As Klaus just smiles at her. Like, no shit, it's him. As he tells her, I'm a big animal lover, actually. As he again tells her, you know, people have many sides to them. You shouldn't worry about how they evaluated you back at your academy, Sara. All they saw was a single one of your sides. There will be plenty of days where you shine, just like you did today. There's no need for you to recognize any sort of place. As we see that really meant a lot to her right here. And you know, guys, jokes aside, Klaus is actually a pretty damn good teacher when he tries to be. He's really intuitive, he knows what's bothering each of them, and he addresses it each time and helps them to become better. He really is a legitimately good teacher when he tries. As Sara thinks to herself, I'm just an inexperienced spy who hasn't even properly trained Mr. Johnny yet. But I hope that someday I'll get a chance to do big things. In fact, I'm sure I will. It's a very, very nice scene, actually. But our episode's not done just yet, actually. Because it's here we finally go past the point of the impossible mission. as we just hear, congratulations. In light of having successfully recovered Abyssal, Lamplight has been formally promoted to an official team, as we see that Klaus is reporting on their mission. But it's here we get a bit more serious, as his boss says. The reason I called you here today is because we have a lead on that mysterious sniper who killed Gudo. As he says, we don't know how large it is, and despite pursuing them for years, we don't have any solid intel on them. But the Empire's top spy team is called Serpent, and that sniper was likely one of its members. And with that, our episode ends. And this was just a fun little episode, guys. But I have to be honest, I'm really happy that we're actually getting to, like, the actual plot. Because these episodes have been fun, but this is a spy show after all. And I've definitely been thinking to myself, like, man, we're not doing a lot of spying in this spy show. So I'm happy as hell we're going back to actual plot. But I do want to add, though, that I really love the fact that they do a different ending for each girl when we get their episode. I've mentioned that before, but I really do like it. It's such a great touch. I think we've all been spoiled by Chainsaw Man, honestly. So when I saw that this had different endings too, I was really happy. And I really like the visuals on this one. I think they did a good job. I think Erna still has the best song out of all of them, but I really like this one too. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode today, guys. It was a nice little fun one, but we're finally getting back in the forum next week, and I'm excited for that. And the hiatus is actually ending this week, so the new episode will come out tomorrow, so this is perfect timing for this video. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this below, and if you're excited for Spy Classroom to be back. But until then, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year, and until then, deuces, and have a blessed day. I'll see you guys.